Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Movie Nights Roundtable. It is me, your host, Nick Iricchio, and I am doing the show solo today. Unfortunately, Dalton is not able to make it. He is currently on another podcast, actually, the Fangirl Fan Club. Hold on, let me see if I got that right so I can give you guys the correct information. He is on the Fangirl Film Club podcast. He's actually promoting a short film that we had been working on called Quiver. If you have not had a chance, the trailer can be found in the description. Go into all of that. Just some housekeeping at the top of the show. One, we have a great show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about some with a very, very interesting premise. A Rambo prequel has officially been announced, and the Gears of War movie has officially found a director, and it may surprise you guys. As always, too, if you leave some comments in the chat here, I will not be able to pull them up on the screen. Dalton has not taught me how to do that yet, but I will try to engage as much as possible. And if you feel so inclined, we also have our super chats. And in that case, your question or your comment will take priority. But with that being down, guys, let me figure out how to get back to my main stream here so that I can switch comments. Oh boy. See, this is why yeah. Let's see. There it is. All right. Pull up my handy dandy PowerPoint here. So, right off the top here, guys, we have an exciting story, and that is that Elle Fanning has officially been cast as Effie in the Hunger Games prequel series, Sunrise on the Reaping. Now, this is exciting for a number of reasons. One, it is just another banger casting. This casting director heard that they had an Oscar coming out and said, by golly, this is going to be mine if I have anything to say about it. This is also coming off the heels of what we reported on the last stream, that Ralph Fiennes is actually going to be playing President Snow in that series. And I think it's just a wonderful addition. And that has not been confirmed yet or announced. I feel like if that did go through, we'll probably be seeing that announcement shortly, but I mean, she is a wonderful addition to the cast. She is going to be upcoming in Predator Badlands. She had a show called The Great, which ran, but I think it's a great choice. I think Elizabeth Banks did such a great job in those original movies, and I kind of see the vision, I see what they're going for, and it's something that excites me. But who cares about what I think, guys? What do you think? Do you think that Elle Fanning is a good choice to play Effie in the prequel? If not, who would you like to see? Let me know in the comments as we move on to our next topic. Now, Michelle Yeoh has been a staple in the industry for quite some time and had quite the big resurgence, obviously taking home the Oscar. Now she has signed up for a new action thriller with the most interesting premise I have ever heard. So it's going to be a stylized action film called The Surgeon. So it comes from the Resident movie co-creator Roshan Sethi, who is actually also a physician, and the film is currently being introduced at Cannes by 193, which is actually the company behind the John Wick franchise and series as well. So you have the John Wick team shepherding Michelle Yeoh into a new action franchise. And here's a little bit of the plot. So Yeoh will play a retired surgeon who's abducted and forced to operate on a mysterious patient. Though greatly outnumbered, her captors have overlooked her greatest weapon, 35 years of surgical experience, leading to what the synopsis describes as an explosive and brutal confrontation, during which she outwits and cuts down her enemies in a visual style that defies anything you have seen before. Now, that is a way to get me hyped for a movie, but my question is sort of, what is this visual style for an action movie that's going to defy anything that I've ever seen? That is all up in the air now. Let me see if the Variety article has anything else to add as well with it. The feature, hoped to be the first in a franchise, is being introduced in Cannes. The John Wick team's behind it. Quote, "I'm so excited to bring something brand new and innovative to the action genre based heavily on my medical background," said writer-director Sethi. "I cannot think of a better partner than Michelle, the iconic queen of action, who will be using her skills in a different and surprising way in this film, and the producing teams at Thunder Road 193 and Neotext." So, again, there's really not a whole lot being said about what this stylized action that is defying what we've seen before is, and To be honest, I don't even really know where to speculate on this because it sounds like this is just going to be something absolutely unique. I think Michelle Yeoh is a great person to have in your cast. I assume as this gets introduced more, it can, as they get more buyers interested. I'm sure once production actually starts, we'll get some wonderful cast who wants to attach themselves to anything Michelle Yeoh is doing, rightfully so. And I'm just excited to see where this could potentially lead. I mean, we have a bit of a resurgence in action going on in terms of just something different and unique. I think Everything All at Once was a great reintroduction to that. And last year, one of my favorite movies was actually The Monkey by Dev Patel. And we reported on the show a while back, I think a few weeks ago, that Dev Patel's new movie is also going to be sort of some hybrid mythological action fantasy film. So it looks like people are trying to get out of that stale, old, repetitive, like Jason Statham 47 type action, which I'm a sucker for still, don't get me wrong. But I'm excited to see what this could possibly, potentially even be. If you guys have any thoughts or theories of what that could be, obviously let me know in the comments as we will move on to our next topic, which we can just file under fuck yeah. And that is that a Rambo prequel movie has officially been announced. Rambo, obviously, being the Sylvester Stallone franchise, which started with First Blood and ran through, I think, 5 or 6 different movies there. So this is also the origin movie. John Rambo is apparently the working title, if not the official title, and is hit the can market. It will be a prequel to First Blood. And here's the most exciting part to me. Jean-Marie Helander, who directed Sisu, and apparently Sisu 2, which is coming out, which just gets me all sorts of excited, is set to direct from a screenplay from Black Adam Scribes. That part does not get me excited, admittedly. The goal is to start filming this in October in Thailand, the plot being kept under wraps, but will tell the origin story of John Rambo during the Vietnam War, casting in early stages, Stallone currently not involved with the project. Now, I don't even know where to begin on this. One, I think it's great that the Sisu director, it was a great little low budget action movie that I saw in theaters. I was able to get the one Dolby screening. I think it was at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something. I immediately left the theater, texted everyone I know to go see it, because I'm a sucker for action movies, especially cheesy action movies, and the over gratuitous violence and the ridiculous nature of this action movie, I would kind of hearken it almost in a way to like the comedy of like Hundreds of Beavers, where it's just this Looney Tunes style action movie that ends with probably one of the greatest lines in a ending movie that I've heard in a long time. And apparently has a sequel coming out as well. So I'm all sorts of excited. I'm great to see. I thought really the strength of that movie too. I thought the action was all very well choreographed, and I think that that's really kind of what you need going into a Rambo movie, which is something I don't think we've had in a while in the franchise. So I think it's exciting to see. I'm curious to see who they cast, and I'm curious if Stallone will actually come out and make a statement at any point, because he was very vocal about the Creed franchise continuing without him. There was a whole rights issue. He kind of threw some hissy fits online. So I am curious to see how he feels about Rambo coming back, especially after the failure of the last movie. I don't think it did too well at the box office there. I'm going to pull up the Deadline article, though, see if we're missing anything from this. In the words of John Rambo, nothing is over. Action vets Millennium Media, known for the Hitman's Bodyguard and Expendables franchise, are launching John Rambo. Sisu director is set to direct the film's plot. I think we covered everything there. Again, filed this under fuck yeah. It is news that I never expected to see or hear, let alone with that talent of a director behind it. Obviously, he's not a high guy. He's not a Spielberg or Scorsese, but in terms of the action genre, I'm very excited for this. But what do you guys think? Are you even interested in a John Rambo prequel series? Do we need more John Rambo? And do you think that the Sisu director is a great choice? Did you actually see Sisu? What did you think? Let me know all of that in the comments as we move on to our next topic, which I have the PowerPoint out of order. Let me correct there. James Mangold is a very solid director working today. I don't want to say he's one of the greats, but I thoroughly enjoy all of his movies. Obviously, Logan, I think, is one of the best comic book movies. ever made, and I really, really did enjoy A Complete Unknown from this year. It does fall into that sort of standard musical biopic genre, but I did really enjoy it. I think Timothy Chalamet gave an excellent performance. Well, and we'll get into it. He has a lot of projects on his docket, and one of them now is a secret project that he is making over at Netflix. So, James Mangold set to direct a top secret Netflix project. His previous credits include Logan, 310 to Yuma, Complete Unknown. This is true. He is a 5-time Oscar nominee, but has not won yet. It is not much is known about the project, but it's described as a change of pace for him. What we do know is that the film is based on a book aimed at a younger audience. So that tidbit is actually from the In Snyder newsletter by Jeff Snyder. I do not have access to it. It's behind a paywall, but I have the link as our source, as in the description as well, should you have it. And I also pulled from World of Real, who kind of had a version of the same article. Little is known about the top secret project, but it's being described as a change of pace from Mangold's typical fare, which includes plenty of R-rated movies. This one is said to be staying away from that. Regardless, we can add the film to a bucket of projects Mangold currently has in development. So, what I'm hearing from this is James Mangold is looking to kind of breach away from some of the R-rated stuff he's been doing and make something geared toward a younger audience, whether that is a YA novel, which I think he does have one in development right now based off of a book, but that is, according to the sources, not this project. My biggest thing, though, we kind of talked about at the top of the segment, is that he has a laundry list of projects that he's currently working on. He has Swamp Thing over at DC Studios for James Gunn. He's working on a Buster Keaton biopic, which I learned about making this slide, which excited me greatly. He's also working on an untitled Star Wars film and a Shakespeare-inspired Juliet. So my question about all of this is, when the hell is he finding the time to film all of these? I think that I can see the Star Wars one being pushed quite a bit, just because I think maybe they're going to be waiting to see how The Mandalorian and Grogu plays out, and I know that Sean Levy has his Star Wars project in development as well, so I could see that those sort of being the next two on there, and I believe that this one was actually rumored to be the Rey movie, but I think that might be a different director as well, and if that's the case, they have a Rey movie, the Sean Levy movie, and Mandalorian Grogu, all in their docket, and I think that maybe they're going to hold production on his just to see how those play out with the box office, how those critics receive them. And same thing for Swamp Thing. I think that probably has I believe it has a finished script, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're just sort of waiting for the right time. Again, maybe waiting for Superman, Supergirl, some of the other early DC projects to sort of get their footing, test their foot in the water, or the swamp, if you will. But I could see Swamp Thing not being necessarily vital to the greater story that they're telling at DC. And I think the thing is, Netflix wants their Oscar, and if you have an Oscar, not 5-time Oscar nominee director, I bet they're going to want that prioritized as much as possible. So, I don't know when it'll come out. I would say, looking at all of these, I'm actually genuinely most excited for the Buster Keaton biopic. I absolutely love Buster Keaton, so I'm very curious to see how that plays out. But what do you guys think? Do you have any ideas of what this secret project could actually end up being? Are you excited for Swamp Thing? Which of these movies on his docket are you most excited for? Let me know in the comments as we move on to our main topic today. And that is that the Gears of War movie over at Netflix has finally found its director. And that is right, folks. It's David Leitch, the director of Fall Guy, the director of Bullet Train, Deadpool 2, as well as the co-director of the first John Wick movie, is set to helm. The movie is going to be produced by Netflix. Obviously, Gears of War being based on one of the biggest video game franchises. John Spaeths, who's the scriptwriter for the Dune series over with Denis Villeneuve at Legendary, is set to write the script. And Netflix has officially partnered with the Coalition Studio, the developer behind the Gears of War franchise. There's a lot to break down in this, but first I just want to point out Dylan Stoner in the live chat said, enjoyed the swamp pun. Thank you, Dylan. I appreciate that. But guys, I think there's so much to break down with this. One, Netflix is making Gears of War movie, which is very interesting. they have collected so many IPs these past few years and have all these projects in development. They have Greta Gerwig's Narnia movie is coming on the horizon. They have James Mangold in their docket, and now they have David Leitch, who, for better, I've enjoyed all of his projects. I think Fall Guy and Bullet Train, Deadpool 2, I think that they are fun action movies, and I think he comes from an action background and a stunt background on top of that. And I think that he has been a very vocal proponent for how now we officially have a stunts category at the Oscars. And I think that that's been a long time coming, but I think he's been one of the most vocal supporters for getting that made. So I want to give him his flowers in that regard. Personally, for me, I'm not overly familiar with the Gears of War franchise. Looking at it, looks like a bunch of Marines and space guns, so I think it's ripe for action. And I think also the biggest part of this is John Spate's attachment to it. I think that the Dune movies have been absolutely incredible. I'm mainly the second one. I enjoyed the first one, but I thought the second one just absolutely blew me out of the water. One of my favorite movie-going experiences across the board. And I think that that's in due part, right? He's transitioning the script. Obviously, it's an adapted screenplay. And Gears of War being adapted from the video game. I think they chose a great person to take that on. And I like that the Coalition Studio, the studio behind it, the developer behind the Gears of War games, is actually attached. I think what we've kind of seen in the past, and I don't know what the developers of the Halo series, if they were in talks with the developers of the franchise as well, I'm not too sure, but I think it's always a great idea to have them because I think that they are going to be the guardians of that IP. They're going to be the protectors of it. If you look at, and I think it's all in who they cast as well. If you look at like The Witcher series, right? Henry Cavill got very, very vocal about lore and changes that they were making. And, I think he was a great choice now to go on to do his Warhammer series because he's a huge proponent of that franchise. And I think what's interesting most about this, though, is that it is Netflix. And I'm hoping that Netflix starts to change their tune on theatrical releases. Obviously, we had a very limited run with Glass Onion. And as we've reported ad nauseum on the channel, that the Greta Gerwig Narnia movies are going to have a very limited IMAX theatrical run. I think that what's going to get Netflix to change its tune ultimately, I think, is their desire for that Oscar. They're great at picking out franchises. They're great at going to these festivals, picking up award contenders pretty quickly and getting all those. I mean, just look at, for better or worse, look at Emilia Perez from last year. All right, Netflix had no really involvement in that, but they just bought the finished product. And that was nominated for a ton of Oscars. I don't think rightfully so, but, here we are. And I think they want it. And I think now that the stunt Oscar is officially coming and you have David Leitch in your repertoire of filmmakers, I think it's a great matchup. I think that I can expect, based on just David Leitch's previous work, I think that the action in this movie is probably going to be fantastic, especially with those factors playing into play. Netflix wanting the Oscar. David Leitch, I think, would be nice to see him win the stunt Oscar early in its genesis, early in its creation in the ceremony. So I see nothing but positives with this one personally. I'm going to go over and just double check the article, make sure that we didn't miss anything here. And while I'm doing that, Morgan Bernard in the live chat said, "This movie sounds amazing. I can't wait." Listen, I'm all for a new David Leitch project. I won't lie to you. Nope, it looks like Netflix had no comment on the deal making, so, it's true. And here's a little bit about the game for those that may not be familiar with it. The game is set on a planet on the brink of societal collapse when a monstrous threat in the form of underground creatures known as the Locust take humanity to the verge of extinction. Delta Squad, a ragtag fire team led by disgraced Sergeant Marcus Fenix, is now charged with leading humanity's last stand. All right, so I was pretty close with Space Marines, But listen, I think it's just great news. Are you guys excited for a Gears of War movie? Is that something that you want? Have you played the franchise? Do you think David Leitch is a good choice to actually helm this movie? Let me know in the comments as we move on to the box office. The box office. I had to do both parts here. This is why we need Dalton. I'm going to pull up here, though, our last week's predictions. Dalton had Final Destination Bloodlines, Thunderbolts, Sinners, a Minecraft movie, and The Accountant 2. I had Final Destination Bloodlines, Thunderbolts, Sinners, a Minecraft movie, and Friendship. And as you can see by the color coding on the screen, Dalton got them all right, and I got 4 out of 5. I am so happy that Dalton was not here to win it. He would probably be unbearable right now. But great job, Dalton. Congratulations. It is rare that we get some of them right, let alone all of them right. And before I move on to breaking down these numbers a little farther, Dylan Stoner says, Giant Gears of War fans, Dave Bautista has always wanted to be Marcus Fenix. Simply let him, then. You know, I was looking at all this sort of like game art and everything on it. If you look at there, I think would be a terrific choice just looking at it. I think that Dave Bautista is a very underrated actor, especially, you know, when you're looking at these wrestlers turned actor. I know wrestlers are actors, but like these ones who went on to be in the movies, you know, if you look at a Dwayne Johnson, a John Cena, a Dave Bautista, I think Dave Bautista far and away is the best actor out of all of them, especially when it comes to the dramatic side of their roles. I think that I'm very interested in Dwayne Johnson as Mark Kerr in The Smashing Machine. The trailer for that, directed by one of the Safdie brothers, came out, and I thought it looked amazing. It actually looked like The Rock sort of transformed into a role instead of just being The Rock in a role. So I am excited. I think that Dave Bautista and David Leitch would be a great pairing. And I'm curious too, you know, Aaron Taylor Johnson has been in quite a number of the David Leitch projects. I'd be curious to see if, you know, he comes back into the fold. Josh Brolin obviously played Cable in Deadpool 2. I think he'd be an interesting one to toss in there. I do have Xbox Game Pass, so maybe I will give the games a go and download and see how they are, just to get more, I guess, hype for the movie. But with that, let's look at the box office here. So Final Destination's Bloodline came in at number 1, making $51,600,106. What a hell of an opening weekend. I believe this is the box office weekend chart. Let me confirm. Yes, I mean, that definitely has to be one of the top of the franchises. I imagine that probably has to be the highest gross opening. I apologize, I don't know that offhand. But guys, I really enjoyed Final Destination Bloodlines. I won't lie to you. Our review is on the channel, so please sure to check that out. And let me break it down a little bit here. So worldwide total, it currently has 110 million, almost at 111. And man, it has been a minute since I've opened the numbers website. Trying to find summary. Let's see if we have any. The production budget was about 50. So currently it's sitting at 2.2 times its production budget. I think it'll have no issue being profitable if that's the case. I really like the direction they took the franchise, and I hope that the profitability sees them deciding to make another one. Coming in at number 2, we have Thunderbolts, coming in at just over 16 million. Its worldwide box office is currently sitting at $328 million. If we look at its summary, it had a production budget of 180. Its worldwide box office at 1.8 times its production budget. Still has a little bit of a ways to go there to see that profitability, but again, as we've talked about on the show, I think it was a big win for Marvel. I think it was a step in the right direction. I think it might struggle to get to that 2.5 just because we have a stacked summer blockbuster list coming off. I mean, just this week, we've got Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning coming out, and then we're going to be going into our Fantastic Fours, our Supermans. There's a new Jurassic World coming out. So I'd like to see it, you know, reach that profitability, but I think it's got a long way to go to that still. But I still think that it is a big win for Marvel. Coming in third, we have Sinners, making another $15 million. It has a worldwide box office of $318 million. With a production budget of 90, it is at 3.5 times its production budget. Screw Vulture or Variety, whoever put out that hit piece article that we talked about saying like, oh, it's got a long way to profitability. It's a great fucking movie. It was always going to be profitable. I had no qualms about it. I knew it was going to reach this. I think it's a very exciting thing when an original movie with that big of a budget is able to clear profitability so quickly. I mean, it's up here, and I don't even know how many weeks it's been out right now, but it made a million less still than a Marvel tentpole blockbuster. I think it's just a huge win for Warner Brothers, who's on this quite a lot. Good for Pam Abda and Mike DeLuca. We love them here. Coming in fourth, we have a Minecraft movie, which made another just under $6 million. Its worldwide box office is 930 with a production budget of 150. It's made 6.2 times its production budget, which is absolutely insane for the Minecraft movie. I guess good for them. A sequel is all but inevitable. And in terms of reaching $1 billion, again, I think it's going to be kind of the same thing with Thunderbolts, where I think we're going to see some big names coming out here. This came in fourth. I wonder how much longer it'll end up in the top five, especially with you start getting some more family-friendly programming coming out as well. Especially this weekend with Lilo and Stitch coming out. We'll see. I kind of would like to see it get to $1 billion just for the memes, but I don't know if it's going to have enough to do that. And finally, coming in fifth, we have The Accountant, making just under $5 million. Its worldwide box office is 94 million. And with a production budget of 80 million, way too high for The Accountant sequel, 1.2 times its production budget. Unfortunately, I think this is going to be a money loser. However, I did enjoy it very much, and I would obviously be there for a third, but that seems unlikely unless 10 years from now, again, they're looking to bring back some old properties. Some other ones to point out here in the top 10. Hurry Up Tomorrow, the movie starring The Weeknd and Jenna Ortega, came in sixth with just over 3 million. Friendship, who I had in fifth, came in seventh with 1.4 million. I don't think it's wide yet, so maybe that was sort of my holdup on it there. Maybe why I didn't boost up into the top five there. Coming in eighth, we have Clown in a Cornfield, coming in with another 1.3 million. This one's interesting. Its worldwide box office is currently 6,800,000. But guys, this had a estimated box office. I think Dalton had it last time. I cannot find it now though. It had a super low budget. I think it's already profitable. I think it's already made the 2.5 times. So nothing but success for that. Coming in ninth, we have Until Dawn, making another just under $1 million there. Worldwide box office 49. I believe this ended up 3.3 times its production budget with 15. David Sandberg makes them cheap, and, they get to reap the benefits of that. And coming in 10th, we have, looks like The Amateur, making 724. Its worldwide box office 93 million. I think this is going to end up being a money loser, if I'm not mistaken. 60 million, 1.6 times its production budget. You hate to see it. But guys, before we go, obviously, we're going to do our predictions for next week. I will get Dalton's from him at another time, but this is a tough one. I think I'm going to start off the gate. I'm going to go Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, coming in number 1. Coming in number 2, I think I'm going to go Lilo and Stitch, the live-action remake of the Disney property. I almost had a little brief moment where I wanted to put that as number 1, but I caught myself. Coming in third, I'm going to go Final Destination Bloodlines. I think it's going to have a strong hold going into that second week. Some great counter programming. And then, you know what? I think I'm going to go Call Me Crazy. I think I'm going to go Sinners. And then I think I'm going to go Thunderbolts. I might regret maybe not putting Friendship in there because it's going wide. But, we'll see about that. But with that being down, guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, if you want to leave your comments of your top 5, if you get them right, we will shout you out on the show. Links to all of our articles and some other videos can be found in the description below. Dalton will be back, hopefully, on Friday, and he can talk about the podcast he was on. We will excited to share that and some more details about Quiver. We will post to our socials, so be on the lookout there. We've been more active on TikTok and Instagram with our clips, so if you're not following us on those, please go over there, give us some likes and some love over there as well. We have some very exciting reviews on the channel right now. We got to see Wes Anderson's The Phoenician Scheme early, so be sure to check out that video. We have reviews up for Final Destination Bloodlines. We are back doing our Doctor Who series as the new season has been releasing. So be on the lookout for episode, I think the first part of the two-part finale will be this weekend, so be on the lookout for that. But we have the latest episode on the channel as well. And last night, Dalton went to go see a early screening I was unable to attend of Raka Raka, Danny and Michael Philippou's new film, Bring Her Back. Obviously, the director's from Talk to Me, so that will be, I'm not sure if that's under embargo still or not, but he saw it, and we will have a review on the channel soon. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.